Can y'all see me? Let me know if we turn back up in here. Gosh, I know YouTube, if y'all don't stop. Dun, dun, dun. Let me see if the chat get back in it. Y'all here back, chat? Are y'all back in here? God. They are killing us. Okay, we good. We back. Come on, YouTube. Stop playing these games. Woo. Anyway, I was talking about Kamala. And I was talking about agendas. And I was talking about how they relate to her once the Indian Americans found out that, okay, she has an Indian mother, she is linked to us in terms of her heritage and everything like that. Like, we want to find out some things. And I want to juxtapose that in sense of who we are and what we did with Obama. Even after they found out, they said something very specific. They said, I am proud that she is Indian, but I will not support her because she is Indian. Dias, who immigrated to the United States in 1966, said, I will support her if she is good for us and good for the country. He's saying I have an agenda. They thought she was black. They think of her as black, said Annette Sicharan, executive director of Chaya Community Development Corp in Jackson Heights, an organization that advocates for the housing needs of New York City's South Asian community. We thought you were black. Well, I wonder why. She went to a HBCU, and in her campaign she advocates as a Negro, as an ADOS person. But she's switching that up because, understand something, fam. She's switching it up because it didn't work. The reason you see Kamala Harris pivoting right now is because what she was doing did not work. She was going to try to do the Obama and say, I'm one of you. I'm a sister girl. Well, Obama was like, I'm your RA. Me and you, we fam. That's what she wants to try to do. It didn't work. So she doesn't have any choice really but to go back to that other space where she was and try to figure something else out with brown, quote unquote, brown voters, and the ones, if you try to do black and make the ADOS, it didn't work. So you got to go this other direction. It's a chameleon. She's quite the chameleon. And I want to point out something that kind of goes to the heart of how ADOS is so different from Indian Americans and what that says about Kamala. Let me just go through this really quickly. It says, one key attribute of the Indian American community, this is from the NBC article, which is spread out across the United States, is that it is among the most highly educated in the country with the highest incomes. According to Karthik Ramakrishnan, founder and director of AAPI Data and public policy professor at the University of California, Riverside. Now that don't look a lot like me. If we are a bottom caste, middle black family worth $1,700, if you are from a group, understand that you don't talk about your father. I read the New York Magazine interview with you, and they said something about your daddy, and you just kind of went off. You obviously don't care. Some stuff going on there. You're anchored in your mother's side, and that is the richest. That is a wealthy group. You do not have the cost. You have not lived the cost of my group. You know, when she says what she says about we would go back to India like every other year, understand that when you adjust for inflation, a flight to India would be like $2,500 in the 70s. And it's your single mother with 2 children doing that every other year. How many of y'all have even gone somewhere internationally? She was going everywhere as a kid. What does that tell you about her economic positionality? The one thing that it should tell you is that it's not the same as yours. If it don't tell you nothing else, it should tell you that her economic positionality is not mine. We are not the same. We are not the same. And we never said Kamala wasn't black. We said we are not the same. You are not anchored in the cost. When somebody says, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the first senator of Indian American heritage, they are not talking about me. They're not talking about you. They're talking about Kamala. And so what Kamala has done now is say, I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to switch it up. So I'm going to switch the game up. The whole be an AKA thing, and I'm going to ski week my way into the White House. That ain't work. Somebody threw a wrench into it. I know who threw a wrench into it. The people who asked for an agenda. Because you never gave us, you said, am I going to do something specifically for black people? No. That's what you said, Kamala. Am I going to do something specifically for black people? No. Well, we were demanding an agenda. You want to use us and cloak yourself in us as the first black woman president. Now you got to switch up. You're real nimble. But it's not right. The way you're not even nimble in a way that's like smooth. You just kind of clunk her over. Clunk, clunk, clunk. To a different side. And that's a problem. It's such a problem. And so now you've really moved and you got to text South Asians and all that kind of stuff because it didn't work. Because it doesn't work for a very specific reason. It didn't work because you started off, the way you started off was basically you started off as like, I don't know how to put it, but you started off different than you ended, right? So when we look at it, hold on one second. When you look at it, it's very interesting. You started off this Howard University thing, and you started talking about how you was a sister girl and all of this stuff. And now we're back here. And we're talking about agendas, and let me bring this up real quick. And one of the things that I want to really make clear is how responsive you have been to Indian Americans in terms of their agenda and how unresponsive you've been to us. It took forever with Cory Booker and you to do even HR 40. We know HR 40 ain't what it should be, and we're going to have to do something about that. But it took y'all forever to do that. But you've been real busy about other stuff, though. Right? Let's just read a little bit of this. U.S. House passes bill. This is in India Today. Right? So U.S. House passes bill removing cap on issuing green cards. Passed by the U.S. House of Representatives, the bill on being signed the bill on being signed into law will considerably reduce the agonizing wait for talented professionals from countries like India seeking permanent work and residency in the United States. Okay. Now, what you have to understand as you see something like this, what you have to understand is something very interesting. That's something very specific for a very specific group. Is it not? Am I wrong? That's very specific, and that's a very specific group. But it's not us. So you won't do anything very specific for us, but you will do something very specific for another constituency. That is a problem. That's a very big problem. Because you can't do it that way. It doesn't work that way. Not in terms of politics, not in terms of like you want us to vote for you. No, Lotus Flower. Don't work that way. So when the dude was telling this story, I want to go back to this story for a very specific reason. When the dude was telling this story about Kamala then came on stage, who said her to be the first Indian American, and she gave this like really glowing story. She talked about how she came home, how her grandmother in India wasn't doing well, and she said, I gotta go visit her because she won't get out of bed. And she got there, and they had all thrown her the grandmother had thrown her this wonderful party. I think wonderful for you. Wonderful for you. That's ADOS. Can you relate to any of that? Can you relate to like your Indian grandmama throwing you a party and you went over there because she wasn't feeling good? Understand, you flew. on your own dime because your grandmama in India wasn't feeling good and you want to go check on her. Does any of that, none of that is any of that relatable to you? Because it's not to me. It's not to me. And so I don't understand how we let this con go on so long. How did we let Kamala start talking so long? You have a privileged life. You have a father who is a Stanford professor, a mother who was a scientist. Y'all flew back and forth all the time. You don't get to come here. I don't care if you went to Howard University as a privileged kid. I don't care. Wonderful. I hope you paid cash, but wonderful. But you still don't get to use that institution to cloak yourself in what has been and is our multi-generational oppression. We have bore a cost that you didn't bear. And that's what we were saying. And all of you who have said that we said something different should apologize. Because that's some ignorant stuff you said about we're saying she's not black. It's obvious from what she just said about her own family and her own life that she did not bear the cost that we bore. And her ancestors didn't build this country with free labor. That's not what happened here. She is not a descendant of chattel slaves. That's common sense for you who were going at us and saying, well, y'all trying to say Kamala not black. Y'all ought to be ashamed of yourself. No, you ought to be ashamed of your comprehension skills. You ought to be ashamed of your intellectual capacity and your deficiencies. You should be ashamed of that. I have nothing to be ashamed of because Kamala has gone now since she's pivoted from getting my vote to getting everybody else's vote. She's made clear who she is. And she's made clear that she's not me. I've never been to India. I've never been anywhere, traveled to foreign countries frequently. We don't have the money for that. Your life was a different life. You can be a descendant of chattel slaves in Jamaica. We're talking about the people who built America. These are two. Stop doing that, people. These are different countries. America is not Jamaica, is not Haiti, is not Nigeria, is not Yvette, it's not any other country. And it's still not any of the other countries that had slaves. We built this whole thing. And as luck or unluck would have it, we built the richest country in the world. I respect all countries, but we did not build an island. We built the richest country in the world. And we're asking for something. We're demanding something. We're demanding what is owed. That is not your experience. Even if you were chattel slaves somewhere else. Let's not play games with each other. And act like you don't know what I'm talking about. Well, I was over here. And it's the only difference, Yvette, is where the ships landed. No, you live in a majority black country right now. Wherever if you are somewhere, like if you're in Haiti or whatever, Jamaica, you live in a majority black country right now. America was the most efficiently white supremacist country in the world. Still is. And we're still here. Miss me with that. You should honor our struggle. Instead of trying to make it the same as every struggle everywhere else and trying to make anybody who is black or brown the same as us, that diminishes us. You are diminishing us when you say wherever you're from, because I'm brown, I'm you. Kamala diminished us when she said because I'm brown, I'm you. And you're trying to say I'm not black. We didn't say you were not black. We said you were not ADOS. And you just proved that with all your trips to India. Oh, it's got to be wonderful just to go somewhere to check on your grandmama somewhere because she just don't feel well. Hell, we got grandmamas in our own state we can't go check on because we ain't got enough gas money to get there. I got $10 in my tank for the rest of the week. Can you go check on her? Because I ain't going to be able to do it. I don't get paid to Friday. You flying off somewhere because grandmama can't get out of bed. All the while they planning you a party. And you going to say we the same as us. None of it makes sense. And when I said it didn't make sense, too many of you people tried to say, well, Yvette, I don't know what you're talking about. She just, she ski-wee just like you do. Well, I don't know about any of that because there's a whole lot of questions in terms of like, even when you talk about Indians, when you talk about, brownness. There's a reason why, we have a lot of Indians who run corporations and H-1Bs. Majority of Indians are Indo-Aryans, i.e. 72% of Indians are Indo-Aryans, and they speak various Indo-Aryan languages. These Indo-Aryan languages evolved from Sanskrit. Sanskrit is ancient Aryan language that belongs to Indo-European language group. That means Sanskrit, Latin, Greek emerged from common source pro-Indo-European languages that was spoken in the Caucasus Mountains and regions like southern Ukraine, southern Russia. So what they're telling you is that they have a lot in common. Language is very important in terms of commonality. So what they're telling is that they have more in common with whiteness, and more they mesh more because there's a common language that binds, that bonds. That's what they're saying to you. Compare that to a group that was sold from Africa due to tribal wars, and then came here, and through rape and later on some intermarriage became like this hodgepodge group. We are not the same. We're not the same. And I have seen, as we talk about agendas, we talked about what she wrote, Homeland Security urging it. She has written to the Department of Homeland Security urging it not to revoke employment authorization for spouses of high-tech H-1B visa recipients, many of them from India. She's giving them an agenda. She said you won't do anything specifically for black people. No, but I see you very clearly doing something specific for another group. And let me just say this. When you outsource this way, and this is what it is, I'm just going to say it's outsourcing. When you outsource this way, part of the problem with outsourcing is that you don't have to build your own group, meaning American citizens. So it's usually a problem when you outsource, right? Because you don't have to, if you can go get it somewhere else. If I can just go get it somewhere else, I don't have to make sure that we have good schools in America where we can build students who do tech. I'll just go get the tech somewhere else and not worry about it if I'm a company. That's the problem that we have always had with outsourcing in this country, is that it makes you not have to do the work for citizens to make sure that they are prepared for the job market in this country. That is toot, 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 toot. Are we back yet, fam? Let me know when we're back. Good God Almighty, down 2 times. So tired of acting up like this. You can't get nothing. You can't get nothing out no more. You can't have a conversation no more. Oh, shut me down. And you ain't got nobody to call. You can't call Clyburn. You can't call nobody and say, hey, you can't call nobody because they all in the bag. They all get in the bag. So you can't call nobody and be like, just shut me out. I can't get my feed through. I'm be getting, no. Can't get nothing out no more. So let's just get through it. Let's just get through it, fam, because obviously, tonight is just difficult. Let's just get through it. I want to go through something really quickly. When you go to the H-1B visa, I was talking about the bill I was talking about. It's titled the Fairness of High Skilled Immigrants Act of 2019, or HR 1044. The bill was passed by a 435 member House by an overwhelming majority of 365 to 65. As per the president's system, Kamala Harris and Mike Lee are likely to be taken up soon. And this is what Kamala has been focused on since she got there. She's been focused on immigration. Bills about immigration sponsored by Kamala Harris. S557, a bill to reunite families separated at the border. A bill to reduce the ability of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to engage in inappropriate and civil immigration enforcement actions that harm unaccompanied alien children. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just telling you what she's focused on. I'm not talking about bad or good. I'm just telling you what she's focused on. A bill to establish programs for and require the development of policies with respect to the use of body-worn cameras by officers and agents of U.S. Customs and Border Protections and U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and other purposes. She ain't been here this long. Understand this. She ain't been here long. A bill to prohibit the expansion of immigration detention facilities to improve the oversight of such facilities and for other purposes. I wish somebody would put a bill to stop building prisons. But that brings us to Kamala Harris and her criminal justice reform plan, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Kamala. She says she's coming through. She had Angela Rye and somebody else I ain't never seen before on there. A bunch of people on there she was talking about she gonna do it. Do what, Kamala? What exactly you gonna do? Well, let me just say this. One thing I'm exceedingly tired of. Kamala's plans. Like, there was a plan Biden put out and I critiqued it, but I didn't say, I said on the merits it was a decent plan. I just don't crush Jim Crow Joe to do it. But I don't know what Kamala be coming out with. She just be throwing stuff out in the air, just like the other plan that looked a lot like Elizabeth Warren's plan, and they bigged it up in essence like it was something because they hadn't seen the other plan. It was like a Demos plan, and we had Josh Poe call in and say it wasn't really going to do anything in terms of wealth. Come on, man. And so, it's just so, she talked about her guiding principles. And isn't this something, I just want you to look at this. Isn't this like something you read or you write in like school? She can, one, work with Congress and use her executive authority to change law. Well, damn, we all know that, Kamala. We all went through grade school, a law and policy on the federal level. So she said, as president, I can change law on the federal level. Well, I'm a bill on Capitol Hill. Yeah, we know that. Investigate state and local actors through the Justice Department Civil Rights Division. Kamala. Oh, God. These are her guiding principles. Empower and incentivize behavior on the state and local level through federal funding. Oh, God. This is just, understand, this isn't like even, I don't even think this is college level public policy. This is like if you were in advanced placement high school your senior year and you got to really do a project. What is this? Use her voice. Use her voice as president to advocate for change. What? And as president, Kamala will exercise every one of these levers to increase public safety and reduce our outsized criminal justice system and make it fairer and more equitable. She wants to end mass incarceration. Blah, blah. Law enforcement's primary mission is to serve and protect. The system must treat individuals as equitably and humanely. The system must protect the vulnerable. This is not a plan. This is not a plan. I don't even know what this is. This is not a plan. You can't do nothing with that. These are like goals of humanity or something. Like, at a certain point, you have to realize that, at a certain point, you have to just kind of understand yourself that Kamala is not only just like recasting herself in a chameleon. At a certain point, I have to really understand that, like, I don't think you're fit for this. I don't think you're fit for this. And this ain't what you did. Let's tell the truth about what you did do. Your truancy plan targeted just for photo ops. Parents whose kids have been out. You didn't even do the work to figure out why they were out. This mother right here got trotted out Like she had killed somebody, Kamala, for you. And you'll say, well, nobody went to jail. That don't mean nobody got arrested. That don't mean nobody got humiliated. That don't mean nobody had to pay a fine. You're only as smart as the questions you ask. And the only thing we're asking is, well, nobody went to jail. That's not the only thing. Listen to what happened. On the morning of April 18, 2013, in Los Angeles suburbs of Buena Park, a throng of photographers positioned themselves on a street curb and watched as two police officers entered a squat townhouse. Minutes later, their cameras began clicking. The officers reemerged with a weary-looking woman in pajamas and handcuffs, and the photographers were jostling to capture it every step. That means, Kamala, y'all call the media, man. Somebody call the media. This didn't just happen. You called and said, listen, we're going to be doing our thing over here. We're doing the thing over here. Here's the address. We want to make the papers. In fact, Peoples had been arrested for her daughter's spotty school attendance and record. Some of y'all remember this school attendance record under a truancy law that then California Attorney General Kamala Harris had personally championed in the legislature. The law enacted in January 2011 made a criminal misdemeanor for parents to allow kids in kindergarten through 8th grade to miss more than 10% of school days. People's 11-year-old daughter Shayla had missed 20 days so far this year. The question, though, is why? Why did Shayla miss those school days? People's read all this several days later in a state of disbelief. She has a soft manner and voice and has dedicated most of her adult life to caring for Shayla, that's her daughter, who has lived with sickle cell anemia, a serious genetic illness that causes her acute pain and requires frequent hospitalization and procedures since birth. That's who you arrested. That's who you call the photographers to come check this out. We getting tough on truancy. Shayla frequently missed school because she was in too much pain to leave the house or was hospitalized for long-term care. Her school was aware of these circumstances. It had records on file from Regional Children's Hospital explaining that Shayla's condition would necessitate unpredictable absences and special educational accommodations. Peoples and the school have worked together to set up some of those accommodations which are required under federal disability law. At the time of her arrest, Peoples claims she was fighting with the school to get it to agree to additional accommodations under the individualized education plan, which she said the school had rejected. That's who you picking up, Kamala? Now you want to talk about now how everything got to work for everybody. But this is who you picked up. And you picked it because that's good for like the photographers, right? Like, I'm gonna pick this black woman up and I'm gonna drag her to the police department. And then after you drug her there, here's what happened. The defendant was offered counseling and parenting classes. The student was to get a mentor with Big Brothers. Understand, you don't need to, if that's what you're going to do, you don't need to arrest nobody to do that. You don't got to arrest nobody to do that. You don't need to arrest anybody to do what you just said that you did. You arrested them because there's nothing that gets you further in life than putting the cameras in front of this black woman and dragging her off. It put me in mind of another Democrat who did something very similar. Bill Clinton photographed himself in front of a bunch of prisoners. We know what that looks like. We know what that says to everybody else. You're going to get tough on them, ain't you? I like it. I like it. I love it. That's a problem. That's a really big problem. And we can't move forward until we get the Democrats to change who they are. and to respond to our agenda. No, you can't use us and drag us out in front of the cameras and throw us out and use us for your political career. We have an agenda that we want to see. We have something that we want to see. We have a right. We have a right. I don't know why Lotus Fly don't understand that. Don't make no sense. Make no sense. Does it? Hold on, let me bring something up. And we see, Kamala, where you are now. Like you in trouble. There was a memo that came out, just got internal Kamala Harris document acknowledges summer slump. You have the document says we have more debates ahead of us than behind us. No, Kamala, I think you about finished. I think your goose is cooked. Lots of voters are starting to tune in after Labor Day. Perspective. More debates ahead of us than behind us. Folks want her to focus on Iowa, New Hampshire, and California. Is that why you just pivoted? We're not in Iowa. We're not in New Hampshire. We're not in California. Is that what you're doing? Because whatever you were doing didn't work with us. Let's just be honest about the whole thing. The document, obtained exclusively by Politico, detailed intricacies of her campaign's relationship with Granite State she wants was set to meet with last weekend. From how much her campaign has donated to local politicians to advice she received from a local TV reporter. It included talking points to rebut expected criticism from voters or reporters, such as the limited number of visits she's made to the first in the nation primary state and the lackluster poll results. It's finished. It's finished. Let it go. Fat lady done sang her song. You haven't managed this well at all. And it's not just one thing. It's not just one thing that you have done. I mean, you said it was your people who did this too, but your people decided that they couldn't really let inmates out or fast track inmates getting out because somebody got to fight the wildfires. And, people will say, well, Yvette, they've been fighting wildfires before that, before Kamala in California. But no, you're supposed to be different. See, that's what being ADOS or anchoring yourself is supposed to mean. And I'm not saying that just for Kamala. I'm saying that for Sharpton and a whole bunch of other people who anchor themselves in that. But you don't there's no difference here. You, Sharpton, still with Comcast. And Kamala, you want the people to fight the fire. According to court filings, lawyers for the state said California met benchmarks and argued that if certain potential parolees were given a faster track out of prison, it would negatively affect the prison's labor programs, including one that allowed certain inmates to fight wildfires. There it goes right there. For $2 a day. Why are we supposed to believe you're somehow different? I don't see it. You are who you are. And we are who we are. And this time around, things are different. This time around, we have an agenda. This time around, we're not just going to go along to go along. We're not going to do what everybody else ain't been doing. See, everybody has an agenda, people. It's just that some people's agendas get met. Some people get their needs met. Some groups get their needs met and some don't. We're not going to go back. Listen, if there's one thing you take away from this show today, we are not going to go back. When you say go back, what do you mean, Yvette, go back? We are not going to go back to the pre-agenda mode. We are not going to go back to Al Sharpton, Mark Morial, and Ben Jealous standing outside the White House in the snow with no agenda. They went in there and talked to Obama. Obama didn't give them no agenda, send them outside in the snow. We are not doing that. I wouldn't have even showed up to that meeting until you told me, yeah, we're going to do this and this, and we're going to have a conversation about how we're going to do it. I want to talk. I'm not. What kind of novices, what kind of infantile people are you? You don't show up to a meeting until they tell you, like, yeah, we're going to do this. Now let's come here and we're going to get together and hash it out. I'm not going to come to have a conversation with you. Not Barack Obama. You ain't nobody. Who are you to call me here? You just come to my house. Like, no, I'm not going to come up there. No, if you tell me we're going to do it and we're going to talk specifics when you get here, that's when I come. Y'all don't even do politics right. He sent y'all outside in the snow for white people to laugh at. Ha ha ha. They don't even have a black agenda. They got the first black president, no black agenda. Ha ha ha. You didn't even get to do a press conference in the White House. You didn't even get to do a press conference inside. They sent you outside, standing outside in the snow. We're not doing that no more. And I need all candidates, as I go to break, I need all candidates to understand. I need all candidates to understand that you need to watch Kamala and see what happened to her. She did an interview with the Griot and she said, I don't have anything specifically for black people. And that was it. It was a wrap. She ain't moved since in terms of the polls. So ask yourself, candidates who are watching this or candidate staff who are watching this, I know you do. Ask yourself, do you want this to be your candidate story? See, it used to be a time you could say that to us and it would move it would move your middle America voters, quote unquote, you know who. It would move them and we would still come out to vote because, you know, we're a captured group. We got to do what we got to do. We're not doing that anymore. We'll vote down ballot before we show up for somebody who's not going to show up for us. Okay, so I'm going to go to break really quick and then we'll come back and we'll set up the phones and we'll have a conversation about it. All right, and we are back. I am going to the phones. I am going to 310. 310, what's going on?
What up, y'all? This is Tone Talks. I just wanted to call in to start off the show because I did a show where I talked about lineage loopholes. I used it in the context of Jordan Peele, Tracy Silverstein, and I brought up imagery of Obama and Kamala because I don't know if everybody understands. Ultimately, I think that if I had to call it, the answer is going to be to avoid the answer of America, of American government, of American media, is to avoid race, leave ADOS with the cost, and seek out lineage loopholes. And that's what you got going on. It's basically, and understand my terminology, lineage loophole, is basically someone who allows you to traffic the story and narrative of black folks that come from ADOS. I use my story as an example. My mother is the same age as Kamala, didn't know her father really all that well at all. So, and didn't know grandfathers that well. Not to the extent what you see with Kamala. I don't believe my mother ever left the country her whole life. Here you have a woman in the 70s as a child, when black folks are just coming out of civil rights, leaving the country regularly to go to India. Tickets at that time before credit cards. See, I don't even think we understand. These are cash payments. Are in the valuation of $3,000 per month. I mean, $3,000 in cost. And she's going regularly to India. Somebody will sit back and say, I don't understand. You need to watch all of our shows to me. Because we don't have time to slow down. It's not just that that's not ADOS spot. What it is that life has no business talking to us or being in our political space. I'm saying to you that Obama inherited $500,000 from his white grandmother. You don't just inherit $500,000. Your life is filled up with gifts all throughout on top of the $500,000. We've shown that before. I believe that fundamentally part of this problem right now is that America has decided to do lineage loopholes over real black politics, and Kamala is part of the whole gangster shit. She built her life on it. And part of the reason I can tell you that is not just because my mama is the exact person that America has avoided and looked out and seeked Kamala, is because black folks have looked for her. See, when she came to Howard, y'all wanted to be her friend. Because she was fun and different, and she talked about stuff we never heard about and all kind of stuff, but y'all never asked her, what are your policies? See, even when I watched JB, he filmed Kamala, there was no black people saying, I hear him talking about politics. And I've seen a bunch of black older women asking her about sweet potato pie. Because that's the game. It's like all this game. And they're going to leave you with the cost of this thing. When I say they, I mean the government, media, because nobody wants to deal with the black agenda, reparations, what you're owed. They'd rather just use her. Now let's look at the other side. She's Jamaican. But when you read from the father's narrative, she's not just Jamaican. She's also tied intimately it's a whole different narrative there with slave owners in Jamaica. That's from the father's mouth. He wrote it down. That's not like here where we live. It's a very different whole breakdown there. But the biggest part is that not only is she Indian, but she's Brahmin, which is the most elite Indian. They live in a caste system. You come to America and you start doing truancy laws and you start doing prison labor that's supposed to be free. That's caste system type policy. I don't know if y'all can't see this woman because she looks like Claire Huxtable or she looks like a variation of the expression of what you always wanted to look like with the pearls and everything when you got older. But this woman here ain't my mama. This woman here is not a reflection of being African American. She's Jamaican American. That's not African American. I don't know if y'all understand it only when they say it, because they will tell you I'm not African American. I'm Jamaican American. But she isn't even anchored in that. That's what happened on the Breakfast Club with the weed station. these loopholes. We see the same thing with Tracy Ellis Ross with this mixed stuff that's coming out. Kamala still, let's see how Kamala comes out. And then the other thing we can't allow her to do is you can't have Kamala come out with a supportive statement for Byron Allen or the civil rights case and not deal with reparations. It's all or nothing. Because she's good at picking up pieces of something. Like one thing and then not doing another thing. No, reparations, a black agenda is what we need you focused on. Then also support Byron Allen in the civil rights case. But then that means you got to be anchored in being black. I don't know if you're ready for that. I'll leave it at that.
I don't know if you're ready for that. Oh, appreciate it, Tom. Tom, as usual, bringing that fire. I don't know if you're ready for that. I know you ain't. I know you ain't. It's cause being ADOS is really kind of it can be a fun thing if you can take it on and put it off. But we can't take it on and put it off. It's just on. It's a really fun thing if you can. I'm gonna take it on. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna go to the concert, the Beyonce concert. I'm gonna put it on. I'm gonna have a great time. Then I'm gonna take it off and I'm gonna go do my thing over here. We can't do that though. So I want to go 917. What's your name? Where you coming from? Calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. What's going on?
Hi. My name is Irene. I'm calling from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
And, so I'm so glad that I got through. Being that Kamala is Jamaican, I just wanted to just comment on life here in New York City because I had heard Tone say that everybody's ADOS. I'm half ADOS, but my life has been here. So I don't know anything other than my life being in America. So I'm partial to, I know about other cultures, other Caribbean. My father was from the Caribbean. I know about, a little bit of Caribbean. I know about Spanish because New York is a melting pot. So we get all kind of cross like cultures but my thing is that here I'm an aberration. Mm-hmm. Because I went to private school. I was born in 1960, so I went to private school. I have a degree, no student loans, by the way, because it was a different time. Being in New York is hard to rally up people. I talked to a couple of people, but you never know who you're speaking with. Mm. You understand what I'm saying? Because I work in corporate America, so we have black people, but you never know. You can look at them, but you can tell by their name. You can tell by like a lot of different things. So I feel like it's hard for me to rally up allies here in New York.
Yeah, because that's why we always say you have to ask who you, right? Because you don't know who somebody is. And they could be totally like opposed to I don't think ADL should get anything. They should just work harder. They should, that conservative kind of mentality, that Rush Limbaugh stuff they could be on. And you thinking you talking to somebody who kind of believes what you believe. And it's just, but I always said, I said this on another show and I got flack for it. But I always said that New York is a hodgepodge. And I thought that too much of what happens and what our sentimentality comes from New York. And we don't understand it. I don't think New Yorkers understand it. Y'all are different. You get it. I can tell you get it. But I don't know if enough New Yorkers understand it. No, y'all are different. Y'all live in a totally different world. So y'all be no, we all great. I don't know. Don't tell me about that world. That world is a microcosm. Just like there are certain parts of other states. But New York especially, it's just different. And it's not the South. It's not the Midwest. It's not the Southwest. And I don't think New Yorkers have ever come to terms, really, especially politically, about how different or what kind of fishbowl you live in. But you're exactly right. You got to always ask who you.
Right. And the thing is, I've been listening to you for a couple of years, and I listened to back episodes and everything, and I realized one of my good friends is Haitian, and they're very quick. Oh, I'm Haitian, or there's another woman on my job. Oh, I'm Jamaican, and this, that, and other thing. So, and then you mix in the Africans, because there was a woman who I thought she was ADOS, but from her name, I was like, oh no, she's African, And so you don't even know who to talk to. Can't talk to the white folks, and you really can't even really talk to the black folks because you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, because you think you're talking to somebody who really gets it and they want to be down. They're like, no, I'm not them. They somebody else. I'm not an ADOS
Right.
person. Like that's them. You talking to the wrong person.
Right.
And that's why
Right.
it's easier to me to do this kind of advocacy outside of New York. New York is just such a hodgepodge. It's a melting pot of everything. So it's just,
Right.
and everybody thinks like, well, this is how America is. No, it's not. That's New York. That's not America.
Right, and that's what I try to tell a friend of mine who I could see like he has a lot of issues, and it stems from white supremacy. But it's like, no, you should work hard and this, that, and the other thing. So I don't really know how to reach anybody here. I feel I want to do something, but I don't know what to do.
Well, that's hard, fam, because in a lot of areas, you're in New York, there are limitations, right? Given where you are.
But
go ahead.
I just wanted to let you know that
okay.
I support you. I'm trying to get down to the conference. Somebody has an extra ticket,
okay.
So we're trying to figure out how to transfer it. I don't know if you have any advice on that.
I have to look into it, fam. I don't have anything on me, but I have to look into it and figure out how you do that.
Okay. Should I email you just to remind you?
Yeah, you should email me at editor Breaking Brown and just like please put in all caps in the subject line, trying to exchange a ticket.
Okay.
Or something like that, so I can sort of jog my memory.
Yeah.
We'll get it figured out.
So let me just wrap this up. I listen to you and you and Tone and all the things that I listen to. It just boils my blood, and I really want to do something. So just to, I don't know, just to like give you a perspective on New York. It's like, oh well, black people, they don't want nothing. They don't want to work their way up, and I just go like from 1 to 10, like it's crazy.
Well, that's something right there. 1 to 10 ain't nothing, fam. Like that, you say I want to do something. It sounds to me like you're doing something. Because the thing is, if more people did that wouldn't be an overriding sentiment. See, if more people went to when more people went ham when people shared these really Sean Hannity like talking points, like you wouldn't have them no more, because they would be like, oh, we can't say that. That's wrong. Like they're gonna get upset if you say that.
Right.
Like nobody does it, and people be like, even ADOS be like, well, I guess we could do more. What you mean do more? We built the whole country. What you mean do more? What you mean? So it's just like if more people did that and just like, no, this is wrong. And I can show you where it's wrong. I can show you all the data. I can show you how we edge out white people in terms of savings, everything. What you're saying is a white supremacist talking point. If you can, that is something. I think we have to give ourselves credit for some of the stuff that we do that doesn't, because it hasn't changed the whole world. It's still something. And then trust me on something else. That's something that you're doing right now. If you keep doing it, it'll grow into something else.
Okay, well, thanks. Because the friend I told you about, I printed off some of the articles, because it's like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I hear some guys say they rather go to prison than to work, and like work is a thing.
Who did you hear that from? What guy did you hear that from? And then the thing is, like, that sounds like clinical depression. That sounds like I don't have opportunity. That sounds like I can't find food on a regular basis. That sounds like a lot of stuff that's not just like being lazy, because we don't, like, that sounds like a lot of stuff. Like, I can't do anything. There's nothing here for me. In order for a person to say I'd rather be in jail, given the condition of America's prisons, you're dealing with an almost suicidal person who has decided that there's nothing in America for them. But nobody wants to really deal with depression and anxiety in ADOS people. We want to say, well, that means they're lazy. No, that means they've been screwed over again and again and again, and they're ready to lay down and die. That's kind of what that looks like.
Exactly.
So I want to thank you, fam, for calling in. I appreciate it. Send me that email, and I will get you all together with, figure out a way to try to get you all to exchange them tickets. Editor at breakingbrown.com. I'm going to my next call. It is 909. 909, I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
This is D from California.
What's going on?
I just want to say that you were a big inspiration. You good in the hood.
I appreciate it.
But this is what happens.
Okay.
I'm from Boynton Park, California.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know how many black people are in Boynton Park, California? Like 10. If you got a truant parent or a truant child out there, you know what I'm saying? Most of the time when kids ditch, they ditch with like 20 other kids. You know what I'm saying? So that means Kamala Harris had to know that this was a black woman. You know what I mean? And she had to jump over all them other kids who were ditching at that school and say, okay, that's what I'm going to go for her. Because that's impossible for that to happen. Because most kids at that age really don't ditch. So she had to look at everybody else in that class and say, guess what, I'm going to jump over that. Let's go ahead, let's go there. Because there's not many black parents out there. Especially in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember back then I used to ditch too. But I didn't. It was me and a whole bunch of Hispanic and white kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's like me, 2 other black guys, and you know what I'm saying? The rest is like 15 Hispanic and whites. It's impossible for that to happen. But that was a complete setup. That was a complete setup by her. Because I know the area. I lived there. I grew up there. You see it all the time. You can see like two black kids, and then you see like, you know what I'm saying? They're in a group with like, you know what I'm saying, 15 mixed kids and all that stuff. So she had to know that.
Okay.
And knowing where I'm from, how racist it is, and how much you know, Orange County is a real racist place. You know what I'm saying? Boynton Park is really racist. It's not too many, you know, it's just changed blue. It was Republican for years. So knowing this, she had to know that. She had to know what she was going after and what target and what did she want to, the perception to be. You know what I mean? She knew that.
Well, you talking about just like Bill Clinton knew? Just like Bill Clinton knew what posing in front of the prisoners would mean. If you pull a big black woman out of her house, like, oh yeah, well, she getting hard on the Negroes, like their kids don't go to school. And that's why they fail. They don't go to school.
Yeah, and to know, you know what I'm saying. Most kids from that area, you know what I'm saying, end up going to like me. You know what I'm saying. Now you go on to college, you go on to other stuff. Most of the black kids go on to do, you know, better because you're in it's sort of a, you know what I'm saying, high income area. So you can network with other kids who have money, and you know what I'm saying, and talk to them, and they, you know, get cool with their parents. You know what I'm saying? But it's still very much racist.
Okay.
And you would have to know that what she's doing. You know what I'm saying? It was blatant. You know, because you know.
I think she picked certain people. I think she picked certain people for a certain reason, and I think she knew. And I think all politicians know. Whenever you have somebody arrested and you call photographers, or somebody around and calls photographers, I think those people know what this is going to look like for you in terms of the kind of press that you're going to get based on who's going to get dragged out of that house. So I don't doubt any of that. Just like Bill Clinton knew when he posed in front of those prisoners what that was going to look like and what that was going to signal to white America. He knew. I think they all know. So. Yeah,
and that's the thing. You know what I'm saying? I remember the first time I heard Kamala Harris's name, and it was during a speech with Obama. And he was like, well, I'm going to give it to the microphone to the prettiest senator. And I was like, what? Is Michelle there? Why are you talking like that? You know what I'm saying? But you know, knowing that they both really do have an immigrant background. You know what I'm saying? They had a little something in common. You know, and we forget that a lot of immigrants have certain things in common that we don't have. You know what I'm saying? They know what they're going to get when they get here. You know what I'm saying? So if they come in black, they can say, you know, just like anybody else, they come in and cloak in and say, guess what? I'm one of you guys. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm at a HBCU doing the woo-woo, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I'm really a little bit better than y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little bit better than y'all. And you're not trying to be mean to the situation. I'm just, you know, it's just reality. You know?
No,
and seeing those two together, I was like, oh, so y'all know each other. Even though, you know what I'm saying, they're Democrat, but y'all know each other like you guys talk. You know what I'm saying? He didn't just come in and just say, oh, well, this is Senator Harris, like he didn't know her. No, you guys talked extensively. You know? And that's what they always try to pump up, that fake image of we're all in this together, we're all, you know, black and all this. No. You guys came over here with benefits to get benefits.
That
we already created. There was nothing else that we never can come to your country. I can't go to Jamaica, you know what I'm saying, and be like, oh, we cool. let's get some of the benefits.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you calling in, man. I appreciate that. I want to thank you for calling in. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Thank you, fam. I'm going to try to get to the next caller, but yeah, I think everybody, when they set it up, I think they know. I think they know what that photo op is going to look like. And that's very important. That photo op has to send a certain signal in terms of what demographic. I'm not saying you don't get other groups. It's California. But like, you got her outside of her house. You got the black woman in her pajamas and stuff. Yeah, people like to do that. The idea of you just letting your kid run wild when really she's sick. But that's not what the state saw. The photographer saw, oh, she's a deadbeat mom, and she probably be in there eating buns and bologna sandwiches while her kid just run the street. That's what they saw. You just enforced the stereotype. I don't even know why the photographers needed to be there for that kind of humiliation. A humiliation that just kind of aided your career, Kamala, but like, that's horrible for this person. You're punching down. You're a bully. This is awful. So I'm going to the next call. I'm going to 757. 757, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Miss Yvette. You're speaking to Sloan right now.
Hey.
And I'm calling. How are you doing now?
Pretty good.
I'm calling from, very good. I'm actually calling from St. Louis right now. By the way, my T-shirt, it is, my sister said it came in Virginia right now. And I hope it's an American medium and not a Chinese medium. That's all I have to say with that. Anyway, I wanted to bring this up about, one about Kamala, one about the ADOS. I made a presentation to Eugene D. Edmonds Writers Club in East St. Louis, and one of the things that I said to them is that, it's not a request or anything like that, but we're actually putting the country on the schedule of its debt due. It's not a request, it's not a demand, it's a debt due schedule that we have to put the country on. That's it. There's no argument about that. One thing about Kamala, if we can, and that is, I think the biggest crime she did, aside from directly to black people like that, was that she let her husband's friend go. She didn't prosecute that banker, and that to me is a bigger crime than what she did to black folks. I don't know if you want to handle that, but her husband was friends with this guy that she let off as not a secretary or whatever he's in the Trump administration. So I think that's a huge thing. I'm going to buy the book from East St. Louis. St. Louis has a nice bookstore downtown, so I'll buy the book from there.
Okay. Appreciate it, fam. Buy the book. Read the book. I don't know. Okay. I appreciate it. I don't know about anything about shirt size. Whatever you bought is what you get. Like, it ain't gonna be nothing different than whatever you bought. Unless I was sleepy. I am going to now 804. 804, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette.
Hey.
This is Josh, calling from the DMV.
What's going on? What's on your mind?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Well, this is my favorite YouTube show.
Oh, and, thank you.
I got my baby sleeping, so I had to run outside of the crib real quick. But
oh, that's great.
I had to call in and get in on this one because I don't know. The show was kind of in and out. Somebody might have already tackled this part, but I wanted to say, I think, just looking at this with Kamala, and we try to make a comparison because we don't want to fall for the okie doke with the fake identity politics like we did with Obama. But to me, she's way worse than Obama. Because I was talking to a buddy of mine, I was like, man, look, why is she gonna switch it up when it don't work with us to try to slide into the Indian identity politics? And that's exactly what happened. But I said, well, it's way worse than Obama, because what did Obama look like if he messed up with us or something like that, some kind of way, and he just decided he wanted to slide into the white side? that he would have never got away with that. So just for the fact that it's even a lane for her, and she would even stoop to side in that lane, that just makes her look like way worse. And I live in the DMV, and you know, when I saw that Color of Wealth report, it really opened my eyes. And I'm actually married to an African immigrant, right? Mm-hmm. So in her country, they don't really like.
Where's she from?
She's from Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah, so in her country, I mean, it's a little bit of hostility towards the Indians too, because of this kind of an exploitative nature over there. Okay. And but I want to say, when I look at that Color of Wealth report, and I saw that the ADOS middle family wealth was like $3,500, and then I saw like the white middle family wealth was $284,000. But then I saw the middle Indian family was $573,000. I was like, huh?
Oh.
And then I look, 570. They the highest on the list. So you gotta look in Washington D.C.
I remember. I should have brought it. I should have pulled it up.
573,000. So how are you gonna slide from trying to cloak yourself in representing the bottom caste that paid all the costs, that is getting gentrified like no other city, and then you're gonna represent really the top caste? And when you even say caste, the first thing most people think about is the caste system in India. And you know, coming over here, I mean, they don't even really live in D.C. Really, they live in like the suburbs there, like Ashburn, Virginia, which is like, people pretty much call it like New Delhi or Calcutta or whatever. And I'm not knocking. I got Indian people. I have no beef with them. I'm just saying, as far as the politics side of it, I just think it's just real slimy to be able to think that you can jump back and forth.
But fam, let me just say this. They do that because we've allowed it, right? So we have allowed everyone to access ADOSness through melanin, right? And kinky hair. So, and with Indians, not even just kinky hair, because they have straight hair, but it's like, we allow them to, like, okay, you have melanin, you get to slide in here. This is the importance of the ADOS movement, because we're the first movement that has actually, ethnicity, that has actually, like, linked who we are, not to melanin, but to like a shared lineage in this country, and what we built and a cost that we bore. Like, once you do it that way, it changes everything. Once you do it that way, it changes the whole narrative. You can't talk diversity anymore. You have to talk us and our cost, and the cost that we pay, and what we endured, and what we continue to endure. Once you do it that way, that throws everything on its head. And that's why everybody's so anti-ADOS, because it doesn't, by the nature of how we define ourselves, which makes perfect sense, it excludes other groups. You just can't say, well, I'm a dark person, or I'm not a white man, and that makes me a part of your group. No, we're not doing that anymore. That's a con. And we finally kind of figured out the con, and I think that's what everybody's upset about. We were never supposed to figure out the con. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah. I had a question for you. I was listening to the show a few weeks ago when you were doing the show, and then we're talking about, you were giving an example how, you said something profound, and I kind of had a subconscious understanding, but when you broke it down specifically, you said the Republicans, they don't mind immigration because they get, a lot of them are owning businesses, especially in the South, where they bringing in a lot of the illegal immigrants to work. And the Democrats, they see that as a potential voter base. So how, like, when you look at, like, now that I brought out that statistics with the 573,000, and I'm sure that that's wherever there's a large percentage that it's something similar in other cities. But how do you think the Democrats look at that demographic, or Democrats and Republicans? How do you think they look at that demographic?
As donors. Like, you can not only vote at that demographic level. You know how many 2,000 or whatever the level is now, 2,500 donations you can get if that's your wealth level. Like you look at that. That's a donor, and you're not talking about small donors. You can really give the maximum if you do it, if you want to. Like, you can really do that. I think they look at this group as they look at them as like not only, you always look at them as voting groups. You want somebody to vote for you, but you're also like, I can hold a fundraiser, and I can make that joint like $1,500 a table or $2,000 a table, and I can fill it up wherever you are, because that's your level.
Yeah, and I think also when you look at that bill, that's trying to take the cap off of the green card number, it's also damaging, not just for we looking at taking up jobs, but because we know mostly like the tech companies and things like that are using that because you can bring somebody in at half the cost. But it's also from the standpoint of those people that are coming in and starting to own the tech companies, and they're just opening the doors for all their people. So I think it's extremely damaging when you say you're not going to do nothing specific for us, but not only for us to even get trained so we can get be competitive and have our numbers so we can get hired and fixing system racism and getting employment, but also to create a ownership class so we can own companies that we can start to hire ADOS people in the jobs.
Well, you look at, we've done this on this show, and after this I'm gonna let you go, Carl. I appreciate you calling in, but we've done this on this show about the number of thanks, Carl, of Indian American CEOs. And you look at a group and they'll say, I just got here, or my parents came here, and we've been here 400 years and we haven't been able to do that. And it's because America keeps skipping over us. America keeps like importing people to instead of like making us whole, right? Instead of like, we got to give ADOS education, we got to give ADOS what they need in terms of we got to give them wealth, we got to give them ownership, we got to do all of that because we got to make them whole. What America keeps saying, we're just going to forget ADOS people, but we're just going to import some more brown people, and that'll just take care of it. That's what we're going to do. And that's what has happened. And that can't happen. Like, you have to understand that can't happen if you want us to be like a group. If you want us to be like a group that has money and that has wealth and that has, and people talk about, well, you just want, I don't know what's wrong with you. You just want to live somewhat nice. Well, everybody want that, but I'm talking about everybody want to live where like nobody's gonna climb in the window. We're not talking about that. But you want to be secure in the country that you built. I don't understand. Like, I really don't understand like why that's such a thing. And I'm gonna see if I can pull up this chart that he was talking about. Hold on a second. Oh. Okay, let me pull this up. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so I think this is LA. Something to make it a little bit smaller so you can see. ADOS have US Black. You see the US Black? Let me just make this a little bit small so I can get the whole thing in here. US Black have 4,000 hard. That's 4,000, 4K 200 liquid. So ADOS at the 4K right there. You see that? But this isn't liquid. Now look at the bottom. Look at this. What's he talking about when he said 500? He's talking about Asian Indian. That says 460. Understand that we've been here 400 years, man. Like, you have to, there's no way. Understand what he's saying. African Black is at 72,000. Hell, Mexican right on at 3,500. Other Latino 42. Chinese 408. Japanese 590. What are we doing? See, if you could, this is what being locked out looks like. Everybody come up. We stay at the bottom. If you've been here 400 years, and the story that they tell us, and the story they tell immigrants is, well, they just don't try hard enough. No, the real story is that this is the intention for us to be a bottom caste. You don't want to fix us. You refuse to fix us and make us whole and make us right in terms of your reconstruction promise. The Byron Allen lawsuit is about reconstruction. That was about inclusivity. We're going to give you 40 acres and a mule. We're going to give you ownership, and you did nothing except replace us. That's what it is. And that's what he was talking about. And so here we are listening to people who just got here telling us that we don't work hard enough. That is ADOS life right now. So let me go to the next call really quickly. Hold on one second, please. I want to go to where shall I go? I want to go to 614. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm calling from Ohio.
Uh-huh.
And my name is Xavier Dillard.
Hey Xavier, what's going on?
I'm good. I just wanted to ask, how do you think the future of the Black community will evolve?
How do I think what?
The Black community will evolve over time.
Oh, that's interesting. He asked, for those who couldn't hear, how will the Black community evolve over time? That's an interesting question, Xavier. I think one or two things will happen. You will either have I'm sorry.
I don't really know.
Thank you, Xavier. I appreciate it. And kids calling. Like I think one or two things will happen, right? Xavier's young. He don't really know. He said he don't really know, and he dropped off. I think. But here's the thing. Like that was a good question. Like kids should watch. It's a good question. One or two things will happen, Xavier. Either the Black community will radicalize and realize that we are a specific group with a specific justice claim, and we will act that out in our daily lives and our politics consistently, or we're just finished, or we're finished. If we cannot as a group do the work, this is listen, we live in a complex America. This is not 1945. Oh, well, I'm going to get some peanuts and I'm going to sell the peanuts. No, Negro. No, this is a complex America. You have to do complex work, complex politics too. And you have to do it consistently. And you have to work harder when you're a bottom caste. And I'm not just talking about getting in the strips, about intellectual work. You have to do it. If we cannot do that, because everybody else is doing it and they're doing it with money. If we cannot do that, we just get cast aside and we get replaced, and like there's nothing. And pretty soon they won't even need our votes, and they tearing out the Voting Rights Act anyway. So pretty soon, like we'll be boxed out. Either we radicalize and get busy now in terms of our politics, or we don't. You know, when you look at the Indian wealth that we were talking about, let me pull this chart back up. I appreciate the cheerings, Colin. That's wonderful. Let me pull this chart back up. When you look at what you have to understand too, when you look at this chart, is that $250K of Indian wealth is liquid in LA. Only a few $100s of all 20 million Black families have this amount of liquid wealth. Like we don't have it. You either gonna get busy right now, or it's just going to be a wrap. We just going to go over this really big cliff. And then everybody else is going to be asking us and telling us, oh my God, Yvette, you and Tone were right. We didn't know we was going to go over this. Well, everybody who watches the show knows. Everybody who watches the show understands what kind of cliff we're going over. Again, $250K of Indian wealth is liquid. Only only a few 100,000 of all 20 million black families. I said 100. Only a few 100,000 of 20 million black families have this amount of wealth. Like, this isn't, I don't think we understand this isn't how we're supposed to be living. As the people who built this country, and because we don't access people with wealth, we don't know. We're not supposed to, this is not supposed to be our life. This is not supposed to be our life. That's what lets you know. The data lets you know. When you see other groups who come in here and can make it quickly, boom, 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 that lets you know, like, in over all 400 years, we've been relegated to a bottom caste. That's been our life. So I am going to go to, I'm going to go to 904. 904, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? 904 must have hung up. Okay, we are going to, I am going to no. I'm going to 720. 720, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello? Hello?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, how are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Real good, thank you. You're having a great show. Love the work that we're doing. I've been energized, and one of the things that I've noticed is that we abolished slavery. It was an unconditional and total abolition of slavery. That's what we accomplished. It was abolished. And so when they talk about needing to study reparations, or there's nothing to study. That practice of inequality has been abolished. It doesn't exist in America. And as an American, we need to understand that. As ADOS, we know this, but the rest of the nation, the abolitionists that were also involved in this abolishing of slavery with us, it's time for them to step up. It's time for our allies to step up with us. Now, I have a family of 11, and I've been trying to get them to read the Darity Report, ADOS 101, or any of the other works of it, and I've yet to get any one of them to do it, but I'm still working on it. So that's what kind of work we have to do. I'm just working on my family, trying to get this done. Appreciate everybody. Stay focused. They don't kill me. Be looking to see all y'all in October.
Appreciate it, fam. I appreciate you calling in. Yeah. Everybody got to do the work, because everybody going to get the heat. Everybody going to get that heat. You have to understand that when you look at the numbers, 1/2 of the Indian families in LA are worth more than the most elite few black. That's the median. Let me read that again. 1/2 of the Indian families in LA are worth more than the most elite few blacks. That's the median. That tells you that we're a bottom caste. There's no way that you can individualize or actualize or say this was a part of individual agency of what we didn't do. When you see one group stuck to the bottom and every other group upperly mobile, that tells you that that is intentional. And that is the creation of race. And that is the thing that you have to use to undo it. That's all you can use. You have to, like all this stuff where we try to go around and fix, you know, the stuff, we try to go around and fix this other stuff. The symptoms of race. No, you have to undo race. White people have to give up whiteness. And everybody who accessed whiteness has to give it up. Nobody looks at an Indian American and say, oh, that's, I think, except for the most racist of cops, like we saw, like that's the same as a black man. No, that's why they head up Silicon Valley. It's not the same. We're not the same. Kamala, we're not the same either. Kamala, whatever. I'm going now to, these are all recent calls. I'm going now to 678. 678, I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, man? My
Pretty
name
good.
Is, Chris. I live in Covington. Oh, wonderful. I'm sorry. I live in Covington, GA.
Okay.
And I'm actually a very astute listener of your show, you and Tone. I love things that you're doing with the black media. I'm very indulged into what I'm actually in the midst of writing a book. And you guys are giving me like a blueprint to how I want to, lay it out.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. But getting into the question, the topic at hand of tonight's show, it's very interesting. I'm actually glad that Kamala is actually coming out as an Indian now. I mean, this should have been. I mean, what stopped her before? I mean, she was doing this back in the early 2000s. She didn't have a problem identifying as that then, but now, she wants to run for, election and run for president, and she wants to get us on board with her. How can she get us on board with her when she's not one of us at all? And it's just funny that what they're doing, they're pandering, and they really think we're dumb, and it's a shame that they take and they use us as like guinea pigs or experimentation pieces and whatnot, and they just really think that we don't have a mind of our own, and some of us don't have a mind of our own, and we just follow whatever they put out in front of us, or they conserve us of whatever they want us to eat, and they think we'll just eat it. But I'm actually happy that she's actually coming out, because now we'll make the playing field clear on who the true enemies are, in the war that we're going against. Because reparations is definitely what we need. Just by looking at these charts and looking at these numbers, they're we're in bad shape. I'm actually a college graduate myself, and everything. I have a bachelor's degree in journalism and mass communications, and it's been hell trying to find something to really do for myself and really sustain myself and support myself.
Absolutely.
It's just, they come here and they get all these things. As a matter of fact, they don't even really have to come here. When they get here, it's already laid out on the table for them, because they're already exposed to these opportunities and benefits in their country before they even get here. I think a lot of us don't even realize that. And it's, if you ask me, Indian people are just another class of white people in so many ways. Just because they have the melanin, they have the, all that, they're just another class of white people. I'm sure, when you look at different sheets and they ask you what is your race and ethnic background, you only have white, black, Hispanic, or non-Hispanic, and, I'm sure, I've never seen East Indian on that as a choice. Have you? Just, so, it's only one thing that they can be thinking is they're going to classify as white. So, that's the way I see it. I look at it as that, and I think now it's just an open playing field.
All right, fam. I appreciate you calling back in and let us know what you think. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a lot. That's basically what he said. It's a lot. I'm gonna try to go to my last call. I'm going to 248. 248. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette. My name is Dwayne. I'm calling from the Midwest.
Hey, what's going on?
I just wanted to make. Hello.
Hey, I'm here.
Hello.
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to. Okay. Can you hear me?
Just fine.
Okay. I just wanted to make a comment on that chart that you showed, where we had 4,000, and they were like all those other groups, particularly the Japanese and the Asians and the whites. They were like in the high six figures. When I look at that chart is it's not just that we're on a. It's like it's abnormal. It's not even a normal. It's not like it's off by maybe about 15% or something like that. You're talking about hundreds of percent from a percentile perspective. You're talking about
let's just be honest. We should be, just to start with, when you see U.S. black, we should be consider we built the country. We should be above white people, in terms of just to start. Like that's just where we started. Like we should be like at about that's in LA. Understand that in the South is like 0 or negative. But this is LA. Like, but understand that like as a group, we should be like at least at about 600-700. Like I don't think people understand. Like if you were to do this in Georgia right now, you would have a 0 or negative group. But LA is different. So like that's what you're starting with. So you're right. It's wow. It's not. It's this chart should have everybody, every ADOS person outraged. Like how is this possible?
Which leads me to my next quote. Which leads to my next comment. That means that we have. I know we always say, you guys on the that we have a lot of work to do. That means we have an extremely amount of work to do, because that means there's some that's totally abnormal in our society, in our community. It's not just us going to even just asking for just reparation. There's some things that we have to do on our end to make sure that we coordinate this right, because we have some deep issues for us to even allow that when you have the type of leadership that. And I'm just going to be said I grew up in the 80s and 90s. Here, I'm from the Metro Detroit area. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I'm just going to be honest with you, our leadership failed us. I don't care.
Oh no, I agree. No, I agree. They let this happen. Like it's not even like fam. Understand? You don't have to be like, well, I gotta say. No, the fact that you see this chart, because this chart, that 4,000 isn't liquid. Liquid in LA, they got $200. Like, and that's LA. Like, understand something. Understand something. When you look at that, you have to say, like, it's not about being mean to nobody. Like, it's this is a failure. Like, because we don't have enough to be American. And we built the country and we don't have enough to be here no more. Like that's like this is a failure. There's no way around it. And the question then becomes, what do we do? I'm not saying there are some people who didn't try. I know we got some charges. We got some people, but then there were a mass of assassinations after the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights, all that happened. Like after the Voting Rights, all that, there were people were murdered in the street, and then we got a lot of charges. We had a lot that happened that really hasn't been unpacked, right? In terms of our leadership and who got to take the reins after people who were true to the cause took the bullet, right? We haven't unpacked that and what it means. And as a community, we have to do that.
And again, speaking on that, because I know here, like, I don't know if you know about our area, they always talk about Detroit is coming back. We have to understand what that, in our area, I get mad at people when they say that, I'm talking about ADOS people, when they say Detroit is coming back, Detroit is back. When they say that Detroit is coming back, what they're really saying is that Detroit is in the hands of the control of white people now. Because we gave up our resources.
Well, they're coming back, but for who?
They took over this city. Hello?
I said they're coming back, but for who? Detroit's coming back, but they don't mean they're coming back for black folk.
That's what I'm saying. It's being gentrified. When they say that term, but they're really saying that Detroit is now in the control of white folks now. Because for years we had with Coleman Young and the 8 Mile Divide. We had the 8 Mile Divide. And for years, and we actually lost the water, because Detroit was a jewel that we had in African America. I did not know what happened to this Flint stuff happened. Just so everyone can know throughout your phone call, what happened to Flint. Flint got poisoned in order to bankrupt Detroit. That was the problem. That's why the Flint water crisis happened. When you look at the paper, when you look at the timeline, you will see that the parallel for the Detroit bankruptcy and the Flint water crisis was parallel. They both was controlled by the state. Because we supply all the southeast of Michigan just about with water. So there's no reason why Detroit should ever be broke.
Well, thank you, fam.
We got a lot of...
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I got to go. All I got to say, we got a lot of work to do, and you guys keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Appreciate it, fam. I appreciate it, yeah. I appreciate it. We do have a lot of work to do. Anyway, I am going back. We're going to end it where we began it. You got something to say? 310, come on.
Yeah, man, I just want to explain everything, because I think that
the data is becoming so daunting for people that they just are saying stuff that, look, we've been here 3 years doing this project, and I'm not saying this from an aptitude standpoint. I just really think black people don't really get what me and Yvette are saying. Before my project started, I literally believed that black America en masse had no idea of what the wealth condition, you can ask yourself, was for black folks versus white folks, let alone other groups. Now, this data is created by a bunch of professors, economic professors, with different agendas. But what me and Yvette continuously do is frame that data in the light of ADOS. We saw the issue with Dark Hamilton when the Haitian numbers came out in Miami, because they let them come out with all kind of little stories about how black people are the same, but the data didn't show that. It showed that the median Haitian family in Miami, again, they come from Haiti, and I'm not saying this in the derogatory term. I'm saying that Haiti is the poorest country in the hemisphere. We're in America, and you saw that we were worth $11 liquid, and they're worth $3,000. I want you to pull the chart up because I want to make sure everybody understands. And while you're pulling it up, let me say this to the young man or the man that called. I don't know his age. We don't got a lot of work to do. America does. If you can't, that's what this project is. It's not a do-for-self project. Looking at these numbers and to say that after all of the work we've done shows me there's a disconnect. So I'm going to call in so we can shut it all down for tonight. I want y'all to focus on two numbers. The U.S. black, well, three numbers. The U.S. black, the African black, and the Asian Indian. Because the African black is basically a Nigerian population. Well, the Asian Indian is what Kamala is mixed with. But the measuring stick we're going to use is the white number. I want you guys to know that we have a measuring stick on the far corner called percentage of white household liquid assets. Because the white household is set as the percentage, the 100. So Asian Indians have 130% in the median. That means half of their population, half of their population in LA has more than this, up to $1 billion trillion. The native black number is 30 median, 200 liquid. The African black number is 152 median, 152 median, 60 liquid. But this is where it gets interesting. Yvette, can you pull that 5% image up and we'll come right back to the chart?
Pull the what up?
Only 5%. I sent you an image that's
I don't think I got it. I don't think I have it yet.
Yeah, I sent this email. So only 5% of black American households, there's 20 million households, only 5% are worth more than $350 hard. That's it. And they're pretty much all retirees. I don't care how much James Harden or Cam Newton, I believe they created black celebrity as a way to hold black aspiration. I've told y'all that. I don't think that everybody wants to grasp it. But the level of failure versus the level of success. Serena Williams is going to win her 24th. I don't care that she wins an award. I don't care about that award. We're talking about the Civil Rights Act of 1866 this weekend. So the point of the data is to say only 5% of African American households have more than $350,000 in net worth. Again, I put this on your web back in 2015. This is according to Federal Reserve data. Only 10% are above around like 130, 140. Understand what we're saying. We're saying that the other 90% has nearly no wealth. So 10% are hard value, meaning house, car, everything else, not liquid, worth like 160, 170, something like that. And only 5% are worth more than 350. Only 340,000 of the 20 million break $1 million. Hard. So you can be worth $1 million with 200,000 liquid and be in the top 340,000 black families. There is no African American ADOS wealth in this country. I don't know how to say it no other way to you. Can we bring the chart up now so I can connect the two for everybody? Because this is the important part for everybody to get.
Which chart?
The chart we just came from. The chart we just came from the LA. What you see when you connect these charts is a reflection that lets you understand these people playing a game with you. From Kamala to Obama, if you understand the numbers, I just told you only 5% of black families will work more than 350 hard. Well, the Indian families will work 460. That means almost probably 70% of Indian families in LA are worth as much as our top 5%. That means their brother, their sister, everybody works a lot of money. That's a community. So then how are you able to then access our scholarships or claim minority? Let's look over at the African black. These are Nigerian. Not to mention a few other groups like where Issa Rae comes from. Understand, Senegalese, median value worth 152. The middle Nigerian family in LA is worth 150. I just told you what, that the top 10% of black people nationally, like 160 hard, but roughly speaking, half of the Nigerian population or the African population, primarily Nigerian in LA, is in our top 10%. So for black folks especially, you know what that means? They're buoying and carrying our 10%. So that means if you took them out, we wouldn't even be having that many people. Our numbers might even drop even more. They're overweighted in our top 10%. Let me say it one more time. Half, the median means the middle. So half of our black population in LA, our African population in LA, is in the top 10% of the national black numbers. I don't know if y'all ready to understand what's going on. They don't want to fix you. They're going to leave you with the cost of the slavery. You can't be here without wealth. You can't be crying because you need 2,000 or 3. That's small money in America. You're supposed to have somebody get that to you. That's just the cost of being here. So when we say reparation, you can't then come back to us and say, oh, I'm surprised about these numbers. It's reflected in your life. You know what I'm saying, Yvette?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just wanted to come back because I think that we really don't understand how this shows they have communities. What we have is $200 liquid and a bunch of arguing in a room. All right, Yvette.
Appreciate it, Tom. Appreciate it. As I always appreciate that fire and that knowledge and that data. Yeah, we don't have nothing. I mean, he said we don't have anything. Built the country, everybody comes in and accesses it and gets put in our numbers, get diversity scholarships, and we have nothing. That's our life. So, I understand what the brother was saying though, in terms of our work is like, we don't have enough people who really even understand what this means. And what this means for our lives, even though we're living these lives every day. These impoverished third world lives every day. We don't even understand it, and we kind of reject it even when you try to tell us, hey, we're living third world lives, did you know it? No, I'm going to come up. You just got to keep your mind on it, and you got to be aggressive and get the bag. Oh, shut up. People get mad at me when I call names. So, fam, let me just end the show because it's so annoying to me that people don't understand. But don't forget to read the book, especially if you're coming to the conference. Please hit the like button before you leave. If you want to donate, go to donatebrown.com or patreon.com/Carnell. Please don't forget the week of the conference. That week, there will be no shows, no Monday show, no Wednesday show, because everything I'll be doing will be for the conference. So please keep that in mind. Tomorrow is the 10th. Well, almost right now because it's almost midnight. Is the last day to order shirts and to be assured that they're gonna get there before the conference date. So if you want to wear them or whatever, you can still order after tomorrow, but I can't assure you, if you're not going to the conference, that's fine. But if you're going, I cannot assure you that the shirt is going to be there before or going to arrive at your home, because I'm not dealing with shirts very much after tomorrow. I'm going to pivot and do everything in terms of the conference and stuff like that. So just so let's just be clear with one another. Before you leave, please hit that like button for me. I do appreciate it as always. Before you leave, hit that like button, hit that bell. If you have not hit that bell and don't get notifications, hit that bell before you leave, fam. And we will continue to have the conversation and try to bring people along. It's essential. Like the person said before, I'm either preaching ADOS's resurrection or I'm preaching the funeral sermon. So y'all let me know which one it is. Until next time, fam, be easy, take care of yourself, and get your political education.